Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another quick card tutorial. Today I'm making this cute card, and if I'm going to be honest, it was just an excuse to use those adorable hugging squirrels. So today I'm using the Happy Hug stamp set, I'm using the tiny little drinks from this planner set, I'm also using the picnic basket and a little ant from Crazy Antics, and the clouds from the Pivot pop-up set, one of my hill dies, and finally my sunburst backdrop. Here I am stamping out my images. There's really not a lot today, just the squirrels, the picnic basket, and picnic blanket, and I stamped the drinks twice. I ink up my stamps and stamp them twice so that they come out nice and clear. I'm using a mix of regular alcohol markers and Copic markers to colour in today. Colouring them in the same way I always do, going in with the lighter one, using a darker one for shadow, and then blending out with the light one. Although I do the drinks a little bit differently today, I kind of base them off one of my favourite cocktails. Once I'm done with my colouring, I then go over my images with my white Jelly Roll pen for some little highlights. I'll leave you with some music while I do these steps. For my background today, I'm going to be doing some ink blending, which I haven't done in a little while, so it was a bit exciting. I'm using my favourite colours for a sunset: spiced marmalade, abandoned coral, and seedless preserves. They're all very different, being a red, orange, and purple, but I feel like there's something about these ones that they just blend together really nicely. Instead of using water drops on this background to bring up some of the ink, I'm instead just going to use my watercolour pigments in a red gold and sprinkle that all over the top. This was the only part of the card that I just couldn't get to work. Usually I'm not too bad with backgrounds for scenes like this, but for some reason I just could not get this ground to agree. So as you can see, I've got some dark green cardstock, which I think was the wrong shade to go with in the first place. And I'm trying to ink up the edges with some dark green ink, and it just was not showing up. I decided to try to add a little bit of texture by sprinkling some over the top, but it just blended in perfectly. And then later I tried to do some shadows for my little characters so that it really looked like a sunset and they had those nice dark shadows behind them, but again it blended in. I'd love to know what you do for grounds. What is your go-to ground for scenes that have such a big, I don't know, maybe like grassy area. Maybe I should have used a grassy dye instead, but even then there would have been so much green. I really had trouble thinking of something to do for this one. One thing I did think of doing was taking up some of the space of all that grass with a sentiment. So I'm using my spice marmalade and my seedless preserves that I had used in my background, and I'm sprinkling both of them over this white tag, just so that it ties in the colours of the card with the different areas. Once I had sprinkled that over the top, I then decided to colour in where the sun would be by watering down some distress inks. I quite like how this turned out. If I were to do it again, I would have done my stripes horizontal instead of diagonal, but I still kind of like the way it looked. It was very soft. And the squirrels were going to be covering up part of it anyway. For my sentiment today, I'm going with have a happy day. Although I feel like this card would be good with a more specific sentiment, maybe for a birthday or maybe for a retirement card. I feel like it really has that retirement theme to it. Enjoying the sunset, sitting with someone you love. It was cute. I feel like the idea for this card was really cute, but I just couldn't quite get it to look the way I had it in my head. So as you can see all over my mat, I've got all the pieces to put this little scene together, so I'm going to be doing that now. I've trimmed down my mat because I didn't need it to be as long as it was, and the part where I cut off is actually going to be hidden behind the basket, so you won't even know that it's been chopped off. Here I am trying to do those shadows, and I think maybe you'll be able to see the idea I was going for, even though it didn't turn out. I stuck all these little pieces on flat except for a couple of clouds that were kind of going over the sun. I used some foam squares on the back of them, and I used some foam squares on the back of my sentiment too, just for a little bit of dimension, as I was worried this was all looking a little bit flat. After adding some double-sided tape to the back of this card front, I then stuck it down to the card base. And that was it. This card was complete. I would love to know what you think of it. It is a very simple card. It's nothing too special. I honestly kind of feel like it's a little bit boring, but it'll be a good one in my stash for when I just need to grab a card. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please don't forget to subscribe. I can't wait to show you what I've got coming up next. Bye for now.